Let's draft week 2 lineup for a millionaire maker. In this video, we'll be going over each position, selecting the fantasy heroes, breakout ballers, and questionable stars. Fantasy heroes are players who are expected to get a lot of action. Breakout ballers are players that might have good potentials. Questionable stars are players you might want to hold. Let's look at all the quarterbacks who are playing on Sunday. Despite losing the first week, Mahomes is still the most expensive quarterback at $8,300. I definitely think he's worth it as a fantasy hero. Both Travis Kelce and Chris Jones will be on the field. Kelce is his #1 pass catcher. Chris Jones is going to help him get the ball out safely. This is a good combination, and I do expect it to be a really good game, especially since Jacksonville is a decent team. If you're unsure of Mahomes because he's so expensive, you can also look at Lawrence. Now Lawrence do have players who can catch the ball, so it would be interesting to select him and his pass catchers. My last fantasy hero quarterback is going to be Lamar Jackson. He is under $8,000 this week and he is expected to throw some more balls. Although Mark Andrews is still questionable, we saw some highlights from new players such as Flowers. Since his top running back is out for the entire season, I do expect the Bengals would have him throw a bit more, especially if the Bengals end up leading at the start. Our breakout baller quarterback this week will have to be Baker Mayfield. Tampa Bay is playing at home against the Chicago Bears. This is a good opportunity for him to find his pass catchers such as Evans and Godwin. At 5,100, he didn't have any interceptions last week, so that's really good. The questionable star quarterback will be Zach Wilson. The Jets are playing against Dallas Cowboys, so if he gets sacked or intercepted, you're going to easily lose a lot of points. So 4,900 is really low, but again, he might not get you enough points to take you to the end. Moving on to running backs, the fantasy hero for this game is going to be Joshua Kelly on the Chargers. And you're probably thinking, what happened to Eckler? As Eckler is in a doubtful situation with his ankles, Joshua Kelly is expected to see more work. Even with Eckler, he was still able to get enough points and even a touchdown. At 5,000, he might be the perfect flex position running back. Breakout baller running back is going to be Saquon Barkley. The Giants are playing against the Cardinals in Arizona. It's not expected to rain and it's going to be much hotter. Barkley actually looked like the only person on the field that was able to play. So if he can get it going against one of the tougher defense team, he can break out and get you a lot of points. The questionable star, of course, is going to be Eckler and Aaron Jones from Green Bay. Aaron Jones has some hamstring concerns. That means AJ Dillon will probably be the backup and seeing more touches. Moving into wide receivers, we're going to select the fantasy hero, and that is of course going to be Devontae Adams. So Adams caught 6 of his 9 targets last week. His teammate Jacoby Myers caught 9 of 10 targets last week, which also included 2 touchdowns. Due to a concussion protocol, Jacoby Myers will not be playing this week, so we can expect Adams to get more target share. The breakout baller wide receiver will have to be Calvin Ridley. He scored 27 fantasy points last week. Kansas City and Jacksonville will be a really fun matchup, so we can expect this to be a high-scoring game. The questionable star wide receiver will have to be DJ Moore from the Chicago Bears. If they can get the ball to him, then he can make something happen. But the problem is he might not be getting a lot of the targets, and that's totally up to the game design and his quarterback Justin Fields. Of course, some other top wide receivers you want to look at could be Diggs and Chase, even St. Brown. The problem is they are expensive, and if you could fit them into your lineup, that would be great. I would say that even Keenan Allen is a potential now that Eckler can be out. And then Tampa Bay's Evans and Godwins are still around $6,000. They're still really low for the both of them. If Watson is not playing, I would definitely look at Romeo Doubs again. He was able to get 2 touchdowns. Rookies like Flowers and Nakua are somebody I would look at as well. Flowers definitely if Mark Andrews is still not playing. For Nakua, I would have to consider if he can get behind a Niners defense. If not, that means Van Jefferson and Tutu Atwell will have to step up and they might be able to do more. I would also look at Dotson from the Commanders and Collins from the Texans so that you can get those value plays. And then I hated that I drafted Tony in my Captain Showdown Millionaire lineup. However, Tony did get the most targets even though Kelsey's back on the field. Is he ready for all those targets, right? If Tony has practiced more and they believe in him, Mahomes doesn't care, he throws it to him, he can still score. I know his fantasy projected points are only 1, but that is a risk that you can take. Looking at tight ends, my fantasy hero will have to be George Kittle. He's back, he's healthy, he's definitely an option to catch the ball, and he's gotten a touchdown against the Rams almost every other game. Breakout baller tight end will have to be Zach Ertz. He caught 6 out of 10 passes last week. He does have a really new quarterback, but with all those targets, he's definitely a breakout baller. Another breakout baller is Adam Troutman. Last week I read that he was brought in by the coach and they would use him over Dulcich, and he actually ended up doing better than most of the other guys I had on my lineups. The questionable star will have to still be Mark Andrews. You know, he's questionable. They don't really know until Sunday. This is kind of risky. He does cost more than a lot of wide receivers. I'd rather spend a little bit more to get Kelsey or spend a little bit less and get Kittle. Breakout baller defensive team will have to be the Cowboys. The Cowboys were able to shut down the Giants, in an away game, in a raining game. They kept it good and all the way through. For the breakout baller defensive team, I'm actually going to go with the Giants. The Giants are playing against the Cardinals in Arizona. The Cardinals do have a new quarterback, so if you expect him to throw more interceptions, the Giants can make it happen. Their team can still defend the ball, so I can see that potentially going that way. And I would actually argue the same for the Cardinals. If Daniel Jones is still throwing interceptions, the Cardinals did score 19 points last week, so it can still happen. Between the Giants and the Cardinals, I would actually argue that one is the breakout baller and one is the questionable star because you actually don't know which is which. Let's go ahead and select our lineup. In week 1's draft, I ended up using that lineup in a 10-cent game, and that was the only game where I won back my money. I actually won 20 cents, so essentially we might be lucky here and try to figure out something together. For the quarterback, we're going with Trevor Lawrence. He's going to be throwing to Calvin Ridley, Christian Kirk, or Zay Jones. Between the 3 of them, maybe 2 of them, it's going to be a hot game, so you can choose 1, 2, or 3. I'm just going to go with Ridley, and because I'm going to add the running back Etienne Jr. To tie it all up, I'm just going to find somebody from the Kansas City team, and the cheapest, most affordable is going to be Kadarius Toney. This is definitely going to be a high-risk game. For the other running back, I'm going to go with Joshua Kelly from the Chargers. He's just a little more affordable than everybody else. Another top receiver I'm going to look to add is Devontae Adams. And then we're going to add another breakout baller, that is Zay Flowers from the Baltimore Ravens. Closing up this lineup for tight end, I'm going to go with Zach Ertz, which means my defense team will be the Cardinals. I actually think this week a lot of these players are more breakout ballers. I can't guarantee that they're going to score high, but they have the potential to score high. And again, if it does hit, if they have the opportunities and they do catch it and they do run in the red zone into the touchdown, then you're going to score really, really big. I'm looking for, above 150 points to guarantee some money, but that's not always going to happen. So let me know what your favorite lineup is, or just let me know your favorite quarterback, or if you think the Giants and the Cardinals would win. Thanks for watching.